And I think as we get older as well, this truth hits a little closer to home, because we know what it's like to just go through as just a person, as a human, and trying to figure out how to make it and trying to figure out how to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. Hey, Let's Talk viewers, it is your girl Ray Lamore back with another video to encourage, empower, and enlighten my people out there. I am so thankful and excited that y'all have joined me and tuned in today. I am really excited actually about this particular topic. I feel like it's dealing with something that we can all relate to in some shape or form. So me and the fro are ready to get into this conversation. So I personally have dealt with this particular subject of going beyond the role. And I have had a lot of friends and people that I'm close with come to me, and we've had conversations about the roles in our lives. So let me kind of explain what I mean. In each and every one of our lives, no one is exempt from this. We all either have roles, play roles, or both. For instance, I am a daughter. I am an aunt. I am a friend. I have different roles in my life that I play. One day I hope to play the role of wife. One day I hope to have the role of a mother. I hope to have children. I hope to have a husband. And when it comes to the roles of those in our lives who we hold in high regard, or who we expect a lot from, especially mothers and fathers, caretakers, whether it's your biological parents or maybe people who have raised you, grandparents, things like that, aunts, uncles, we hold these roles at such high standards, but oftentimes they unfortunately fail us in some way, shape, or form. Either that be maybe a father who wasn't there, that you have no idea who they are. You may just have a name, but they were never really in your life. Whether it be a mother who was present, but not really present. Maybe there's just always been a strain between you and someone who's raised you, and it's caused you a lot of pain and a lot of confusion, so I think that's all something that we can in one way or another identify with. My own personal story stems definitely with my father, my biological father. Growing up, I was a headstrong daddy's girl. You couldn't tell me no different. I was just spoiled, and he was my superhero. You know what I'm saying? And he still is. But there was a period of time where after him and my mom had divorced, there was just a lot of questions and a lot of confusion. And, he is a pastor. And so he had a lot of people, a lot of young people especially, that gravitated towards him as a father figure. And it kind of, for me, it made me feel a little less of a priority, because he was always so involved with the community and involved with, helping people, so much so that, it was kind of like, what about me? I started to really grow angry and mad, and I had a hatred that kind of just built up over time. But something really powerful, and this is really the meat of this video that I want to share with you guys. When I was about 12 years old, both of my parents had remarried at this time, and my stepfather had come to me because, I was very open about how I felt, and, to my mom and obviously to my stepdad. And he said something that even at 12 I understood. People who take on roles are not just the roles, right? So for instance, in the case of my father was not just my dad, but my dad was also a man. And that there was a man there before I came into the picture. And even with my own mother, I've had to put this into practice because now that I am growing into adulthood, I'm no longer a child anymore. In regards to her, I am now her adult child. So now we go from this dynamic of "you're my daughter, you do what I tell you to do, this is how it goes, these are the rules," to me now coming into my own adulthood, my own individuality, my own identity, and her even having to adjust, and me having to adjust to her as not just my mom, but her as another woman. And I think the problem is we get so caught up on the role and the expectations that we have of the role, not of the person, but of the role. You're my mother, so you're supposed to support me. You're my father, so you're supposed to be there for me. You're this, so you're supposed to do this. These expectations, these, things that we attach to the role. Because in essence, yes, mothers, fathers, people who raise us, there is something that they are supposed to give to their children. But maybe they don't have the capacity to. They may not have the capacity in them to love the way that they're supposed to, or to care, or to support the way that you would want them to. And boy, when I tell you, when that reality hit me at 12, and I had realized for the first time ever that my hero, my dad, the big guy, the one who spoiled me, was just a man underneath all that, I was like, wow, so he might be going through something too. Or maybe there was something in him that didn't allow him to really see me the way I wanted to be seen, or that didn't allow him to be there in the ways that I needed him to be there at that time. And it really turned my anger into more of an understanding. Because what I didn't want to do is walk around hating or being angry towards half of me. And I've had so many friends, we've talked about these kind of things that I'm sharing with you now, who have been at odds with parents. I've heard that so much. And I'm honestly, the reason I even got on here, it was like confirmation, because this was something that I had been thinking about doing. But I was scrolling through Instagram, and I won't call them out, but there was a certain follower, or, someone I follow on IG, and they had reposted something that Keke Palmer had put on Twitter. And it said, "I don't know who needs to hear this, but you need to forgive your parents." And the person who reposted it had said, "How?" with a question mark. I think that the separating is a step in how to start to forgive those who should have been there, those who chose not to be, those who let you down in some way, and those who you expected more from. I think this is one of the first steps in forgiving. As we get older as well, this truth hits a little closer to home, because we know what it's like to just go through as just a person, as a human, and trying to figure out how to make it, and trying to figure out how to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, and dealing with our own demons, dealing with our own pains from the past. And sometimes, like, let's say you have children. If I had a child right now, right? Sometimes what you're feeling as just a person, it can pour over into your role as a mom. How Rayla is feeling today. Because Rayla had a bad day, I may come home and snap at you as your wife. But it's because I had a bad day. It's not because I'm a bad wife. It's just because I'm dealing with something personally that needs to be discussed openly. So come to think of it, this is even a good way to go into relationships, or to go into marriage. This is how I hope to go into my marriage. Because yes, when I get married, I do have now a husband, right? But if something is going wrong with my husband, or he's acting weird, or he's acting out of character, I have to remove the husband real quick. Hold on, let's put this role to the side. What's going on with you? What's taking place in here? Because it's coming out in your role to me. Most of us who have been let down by people that we love, or let down by people who raised us, brought us up, or maybe who weren't there, we're so stuck on the fact that my mom did this to me, or my dad wasn't there, or this or that. It's all always wrapped up in the role of the person. It never questions what was wrong with that woman. What was going on with that man for him not to even want to be a part of my life? And I think if we do that, we can also, and here's another one, we can also eliminate a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, because some of us go inward, like, what was wrong with me to make them not want to be there? Did I do something? What was the reason why they couldn't stick around for me? Not understanding that it was them that had the issue. They had nothing to do with you. It had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with that man or what that woman was dealing with internally. And what I don't want people to think is that this concept excuses bad behavior or excuses the hurt that was felt by the child or anything like that. So it never excuses, this whole idea of it never excuses the wrongdoing of people who are supposed to raise us and teach us right from wrong and all of that. But so that we don't walk away angry and hurt and confused and feeling like it was something wrong with us, we have to be willing to look at them differently. And looking at them differently requires removing the role that they've had in your life or that they haven't had. It requires, which is hard to do because usually all the anger and the frustration is connected to the role, right? That gives us all of our fire and our anger and our justification for being angry because that was my father or that was my mom and they hurt me, so I have a right to be upset. And you do. But when it carries on and on and on, and you're walking around bitter, you're walking around angry, you're walking around not even knowing how to have a healthy relationship because there's so much rotting in you from your upbringing that it comes out. See, it's a cycle. It's a cycle. See how that just repeated itself? Now the anger that you have is bleeding into how you play your role. And so I just encourage everyone, but especially those who have had ailings with parents, ailings with people who have raised them, unforgiveness to those who weren't there, unforgiveness to the father that never showed up, unforgiveness to the mother who you felt could have done better. I encourage you to just for a second look at that individual as just that, as an individual, not as what they should have been as a mom, not as what you needed them to be as a dad, but just as an individual. Because clearly there was something so wrong in them that forfeited the opportunity for them to see who you've grown into. And it's helped me. So I'm not just saying this because it's something I heard, but I'm saying this and can say it with confidence because it's something I've had to personally live out. I don't walk with anger anymore towards my parents. I don't walk with frustration or confusion as to why things didn't happen the way I thought they would, or I thought that they should have. I don't walk around with that weight anymore. That is weight. You guys, that is weight. And so to free yourself, my goodness, and to make sure that you don't go forward and repeat the same cycle of bleeding on your children or bleeding on your spouse because you didn't deal with the hurt and the pain and the frustration and the anger. Just try to separate the role from the person behind the role. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to go. I was talking to one of my good friends, and, they were sharing with me some real deep hurt and pain and just confusion behind their relationship with one of their parents. And it just occurred to me that sometimes God uses us and brings us to this earth for our parents. And it's hard to grasp that because we come here and automatically they're supposed to caretake for us and do for us because we can't do for ourselves, right? And so we grow up with this mindset that they're supposed to take care of us. Which is true. They are. They have a responsibility now that you are here as a child. You can't take care of yourself. So yes. Wow. Do y'all hear that? Jeez. But yes, so we have this built-in mentality from a very young age that they are supposed to take care of us, right? However, as we get older, we still carry that mindset without even thinking that just maybe God had to send me through this woman, through that man, to help them. And for those who have experienced confrontation with their parents, but were the one who reconciled it, I think you can understand what I'm saying. Because that's even something that I've done. To where I had to go back and say, you know what? All is forgiven. I love you. I'm choosing not to walk in a place of bitterness, hatred, anger. I'm choosing that for me. And you don't even know what that does or what that teaches them. You would be very surprised how your maturity and your decision not to go forth and being angry and all this kind of stuff, how much that's actually a turning point for them. And I promise, once you grasp those concepts, once you just try to adopt that new way of thinking and moving and encountering them, you don't have as much energy to fight. You don't have as much energy to argue. It's like, you know what you're going to get when you face your parents or your parents. And it's just like, okay. You just become very calm. You do. Like, you just lose all want, all need, because now you're not just looking at them as mom or dad or whoever, but you're looking at them as just another woman, just another man who's been through some things, who's been hurt, and who don't know any other way. They just don't know. They don't know. When you know better, you do better. Some people just don't know better. But if you know better, as the child, as the adult child, you can then choose to do better. And I also get that some people may not have that opportunity because maybe you didn't grow up with one half of your parents, or maybe your dad was never there, or maybe your mom was never there, and you may never have those answers. And I apologize for that on behalf of them. I apologize that you will never get the answers that you may need or that you want. But it all goes back to for your sake, for your peace about it, for you to be able to move on in a healthy way. You have to know how to forgive without an apology, which is hard to do. You have to be able to forgive without maybe hearing the story of what they went through, of why they left you or why they were non-existent in your life, why they never came around. You may not ever get that story. And that's a very, very difficult pill to swallow. It's so possible to come through something like that and be the best you can possibly be. Be the most healthy you that you can possibly be. And you do not have to be defined by the mistakes of where you come from. You do not have to be defined by the mistakes of your parents and grandparents and those who came before you. You do not have to be defined by that. but that is a decision that you have to make for yourself and for your future. So I'm gonna leave it there, folks. I am so glad that y'all joined me for this today. I hope and pray that it blessed you and that it gave you, again, that new perspective on just how to look at those who bring us up but in some ways fail us, or those who were never there and we're still left with the scars, with the questions, with the unknown answers. And so, again, practice. You got to practice this thing. You got to practice separating the role that you're so upset with the person that they are, and understanding that we all have a story. None of us are perfect. And that the same mercy, the same grace, the same forgiveness that we extend is the same measure that we're going to be forgiven and given mercy with. And I know I did not use any scriptures in this video, but if I find some, you can find them in the description. But please come back to join me, okay? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share. This content needs to get out. We're talking about healing, when we're talking about deliverance, when we're talking about being healthy and happy and joyful and at peace. We want to share these things, right? So share this video. Tell your friends about it. Tell your grandma. Tell your dog. Tell somebody about Let's Talk. We encourage, empower, and enlighten. Keep it lit. Stay enlightened. I will see y'all in the next video. God bless. Lord, I thank you for this day, for your grace and for your mercy. And Lord, I also thank you for yet another opportunity to have another Let's Talk episode posted and made public for everyone to listen in, oh God. And I pray that everyone under the sound of my voice really took hold of this message, especially if it applies to them in their own personal lives, oh God. I pray that it penetrates their hearts and their minds, oh God. I pray that as it has helped me, Lord, that you would help them to walk in a place of forgiveness towards anyone who may have raised them, who didn't give them what they may have needed or wanted. Oh God, help us to separate the role and the person behind the role. Help us to understand that we are all imperfect and that we are very capable of making mistakes that unfortunately affect those around us. Oh God, so help us to see that we too may need the same grace and mercy that we are to extend. I thank you for this personal life lesson that has helped me grow in my relationship with my own parents. Lord, I pray that those hearing this right now will not walk in a place of bitterness, will no longer walk in a place of anger or hatred towards those who brought them up, oh God, but let there be reconciliation, let there be forgiveness. Lord, I thank you in advance for all that you're going to do in the lives of those listening. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen.